So I want to talk a little bit more about recoding values from a survey. So in this situation, there was a question number 18, that asked, how often do you post on social media per week? And then applying to both temporary and permanent posts. The order that the choices are presented starts with never and ends with multiple times per day. Never is coded as a 1, and multiple times per day is coded as a 7. But the choices in between have the incorrect numbers assigned to them because the question and its options were edited and moved around and changed. So the second option after never is called once a month or less, and it's actually scored a 6. And then once a week is next, 2 to 3 times a week, 4 to 6 times a week, daily. So what I've done is made 2 changes by using the recode function from the QCA package. This is applying to a variable that exists in the data set already called posting frequency. So we're going to recode that variable from the data set Betty. And we're going to create a new variable with the same name and just recode it after it. So it's clear that this is a recoded version of the variable. And then the rule for the recoding is represented by the items here in basically the string of terms inside the quotation marks. They could be in any order, but I've put them in the order that goes from old value to new value, from lowest to highest. And so I've done 2 things. One is I've changed the minimum value to be a 0 because they said never. And so that's actually a legitimate 0. So it might be helpful to code it that way for the use of the variable and its interpretation in later analyses. The other thing I've done is, it's most noticeable here with the second option, once a month or less, which is the second option, but it's scored as a 6. So that's going to become a 1. So it had been a 1 becomes a 0. And the second option, which was miscoded as a 6, becomes a 1. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5 all stay the same. And then the item that had been scored a 7 becomes a 6 because our range is now from 0 to 6 instead of from 1 to 7. Okay, and so then by running this, by highlighting this section and running it, it's going to generate a new variable that's going to be added to the end or the far right end of the data set Betty. And that, along with all the other new variables, are going to be kind of grouped there at the end in the order that they were created. So this general principle applies to all surveys and all needs for recoding, where you know the specific old value, which is on the left, and the specific new value, which you put on the right. And the items are separated by a semicolon and encased by quotation marks. And the entire expression is quite simple. I've arranged it here, instead of being a long list going to the side, with a return after each item, just to make it really easy to read for people. R doesn't care what it looks like in that sense, but for us to read it, I think it makes it easier. You can see I use a similar strategy for another variable that had items very much out of order. So anyways, that's what you need to do when you're working with the basic recode function. And I definitely recommend using the QCA package rather than the CAR package because it's a little more straightforward and a little more up to date. And remember, you have to always, use the library command before you use the function. And because the function name recode is also present in the tidyverse, when you're done using this version of recode, you might want to detach the QCA package and then reattach, or well, not detach, well, yeah, and then re-library the tidyverse to make sure that your future uses would be using that package version of the function. Okay, so that's it.